Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vishwaro Guratmeti Ujiveda Vibhagine Yom Abda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanantam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om. So we carry on with our Vivekachudamani. We begin from the verse 38. Awareness shines as I in the three states of experience and witnesses the mind revealing the formless elements, air and space, and the elements of form, fire, water, and earth. It does not change. So awareness does not change. So awareness shines as I. So this shine is a very beautiful word. I love it because we often we understand the teaching about the consciousness reflects in the subtle body and then it appears to be sentient. Huh? Sentient. Is a sentient being. But I like this word shines. Awareness shines, you know. It somehow it has something with a subtle body. It has an affection with subtle bodies. Or because of the nature of the subtle body is so sattvic, and sattva is something as close to awareness as something can be. So when awareness comes in contact with the subtle body, it glows, it shines, you know, with what? With consciousness, with reflected consciousness, with sentience. You know, awareness shines as the I in the three states of experience. And awareness witnesses the mind. So the awareness has the power to shine. That's why it's important that we understand the difference between the shining eye of the Jiva-Atma from the subtle body, you know. So it shines when it comes into contact with the subtle body, it becomes the shining eye, the witnessing, experiencing entity that witness what? Witness the mind, the ego, the intellect, and the three states of experience. And it witness the five elements. The two first elements, they are formless, and the three subsequent elements, they have the form, you know, they are fire, water, and earth. Yeah? Awareness is the only principle that does not change. So all the three states plus all the physical, subtle, and dense elements which are witnessed by this experiencing entity called I, the Jivatma. Everything is experienced and everything is changing from one moment to another. There is no phenomenal object that is not changing from one moment. Nothing remains stable. You understand our problem? Our problem, we not only we identify with these states, with these objects, but we wish them to be stable, to be, you know, something that, oh, no, now I'm, you know, I feel safe. Now I feel stable. Now we see that things changing all the time. Now we have this mess with this virus. We could never have seen it coming, you know, because things are changing all the time. The elements are changing, air, space, fire, water, and earth, all the three states, all the koshas and the three bodies, every phenomenal object is changing. And everything that changes, it changes against a principle, something that must be changeless. Have you ever thought about that? the only way we can really capture change is due to the fact that something in us is the changeless, because if we would be changing, a changing phenomenon cannot really witness another change because both are changing simultaneously. So there is something in us that is really unchanging, and that's what can witness change. So we are this principle that does not change. We are aware of the change that occur as we pass from all these three states. That awareness which does not change, but it's the witness of change, is called in this verse the I. Most often it's called as the self as well, Atma, and the I. Change can only be perceived against a changeless background. Change is movement. It's the same thing with movement. Change is this dynamic field of movement, which implies change. Everything that changes because it moves, it transforms, it modifies from a moment to another. So it changes. Everything that moves can only be perceived likewise by another principle that does not move. Okay? Otherwise, if both are moving, it's very difficult really to perceive something and to be able to properly determine the condition and the speed and the movement and so on, because I'm moving and the other is moving, so it's very difficult. So we are the changeless and we are the motionless principle, which is this, which is not an experience entity, but it shines in the eye as the eye of the three states. So when it shines in this eye of it shines the subtle body, and then it becomes the Jiva Atma, and then the Jiva Atma goes through these three states, one after the other, over and over again, and we never get bored of it, right? We get just the same three states every day, and we enjoy it because every day they get colored by some modification, some change, some new exciting things are happening in the world and so on. So we don't get tired of it. Change can only be perceived against a changeless background. Change is movement. Movement can only be measured in relation to something which does not move. That which allows us to perceive change, that which watches movement through successive, now I got in trouble. Successive states must be something that does not change or move. The I of the true self. So we are talking about two eyes in this verse. So somehow it indicates that there is two I. The true I and the I of the witnessing, experiencing entity called the Jiva-Atma. So the Jiva-Atma and the Paramatma. So the true I is the I which is not an experiencing entity, but every time it shines, to become a Jiva, it becomes the experiencing entity. Now, what is the common denominator between these two eyes? The common denominator is I, the self, consciousness, the existence. The I says, I exist, I know, I am conscious, I know that I exist and I know that I exist. So this I shares the same I with Paramatma. That's why we can accept this statement that proves the identity between Jiva Atma and Paramatma. That Vamasi, the Jiva Atma is the Paramatma, is in its essential, fundamental, independent nature. It is Paramatma. So the I, this awareness, the big I shines as the I in the three states. the Jivatma. Paramatma shines to become the Jivatma and then go through all this witnessing experience of all that can be experienced in Mitya. So we talk about the I of the true self. This I is not the ego. So this I that we refer to when we say the non-experiencing Atma, the non-experienced witnessing principle, conscious existence principle, it's not the ego, it's not the intellect. Now remember that this verse, it equates intellect, the intellect with the ego. No? So this I is not the intellect, it's not the ego, it's not this knowing entity, this experiencing entity. This I is not the ego with its history of experience, memories and experience, and this is my life, and this is who I am, this is what I do, this is my resume, and so on. This I is not the ego with its history of experience and catalog of likes and dislikes. How nice this one, huh? What constitutes my jiva, my intellect, my ego? Oh, what I like and what I don't like. So my likes and dislikes, they are what? They are the building blocks of what? Of my vasanas, of my samskaras. They are all based on all these little likes and dislikes, likes and dislikes. So this I is not the ego with its history of experience and catalog of likes and dislikes and various identifications with objects. Isn't it amazing that we identify with things all the time? We identified with life history, with our memories, with our close friends, and with our home, with our profession, with our body, with our mind. So we identify with all sorts of objects. Where am I? It's not the ego. Likes and dislikes and various identifications with objects. A distinction is made in Vedanta between the ego and the I sense, between the ego and the I sense. The ego is called ahamkara, and the I sense is called aham. Okay, this is a very interesting, it's a very subtle distinction. Okay, so the I am, okay, is what we call aham, I. Okay, ahamkara is when the I identifies with all sorts of experience, all sorts of histories and memories and so on. I'm just, when my configuration is not only I am. You remember the meditation of Nisargadatta Maharaj? Hold on to I, aham, I am, I. Huh? So Ramana Maharaj used to use the who am I. And the whole thing is to hold on to the I before this I becomes totally, attached to histories and many memories and circumstances and situations and attached to other objects, other experience, things that are going to somehow build this ahamkara. Ahamkara means the ego. The ego is called ahamkara, and the I is aham. So we have the true I, this non-experiencing, witnessing entity or principle. And then we have the I am that Nisargadatta used to call pure consciousness, but pure consciousness is not that I. Pure consciousness is Brahman, it's Paramatma. So, and then we have this, we could say meditative I, the people who like to meditate and stay in that state of presence, of pure presence, I. So I was high for many years on that kind of meditation. You just stay on the I, and then all the associations of this I with name and forms and the energies and other things and other peoples and objects and anything that's going to build up my identity. When you just dissociate from all of that, you remain as I, and that gives tremendous, tremendous bliss, and feeling of satisfaction. It's beautiful. So that is the aham, you know. So we have the Paramatma, and then we aham, and then we have the ahamkara, which is the aham attached to all those kind of, I am, but I am this and that. I am tall and I'm short, I'm fat, I'm white, I'm black, I'm this and that. So we have this subtle distinction. The first one, which is the ego, is phenomenal. The second is real. Okay, so he's not really making the same distinction that I'm making, but the distinction that I make is a valid distinction. So he is to jump in direct. The first one is phenomenal, which means the ego I. The second is real. The ego is that which performs actions. The true I is that which observes the ego and the action it performs. So again, we had this conversation last week, last satsang with Claudio. So who and what is witnessing, and perceiving, the intellect and its notions and the mind and so on. So the first one, the ego, it cannot really perceive itself, although it can, because it is self-reflective, self-contemplative. Okay, so the first one, the true I is that which observes the ego, the intellect, and the actions that the intellect, the ego performs. The ego is changing. The I, the aham, is changeless. So I want to again stress that I have made a subtle distinction between Paramartha, and then the I am before the I am gets totally identified with a lot of phenomena, another object by which this I am gets colored, got identified. Okay, and here in this analysis, it's not going through that analysis. So, but it says that the ego is changing, the I, the aham, is changeless. The aham is the witness, but it is a strange sort of witness. Now it's going to touch a little bit my point here, but it's a strange sort of witness, as it makes all the events it witness perceptible by its own light. No, it's not the point that I was expecting it to make. So, but it says that Zahan is a very strange sort of witnessing principle. Okay, why? Because it makes all events it witness perceptible by its own light. So I, this conscious existence, is the light by which everything comes into existence. Okay, so I witness things, but the things I'm witnessing depends on me. You understand? So therefore, I'm just witnessing things that have a dependent or dependable existence, because I, the light of consciousness, is the only revealing power, the only witnessing principle. I witnessing things. You see, when we witness things with I witness, there is me and there is an object. Okay, and then I'm witnessing my watch. Okay? So now it says that this witnessing principle is a very, very unique and strange sort of witness, as it makes all the events it witness perceptible by its own light. So it means to say everything that it perceives, it depends on the light, and exists not apart from this conscious existence. When we have two objects, me and Claudio, for example, I can say, oh, I perceive cloud. Therefore, Claudio depends on me. Can I say that? I, the Jiva, Arlindo, I perceive Claudio, and Claudio depends on me. You know, I mean, I'm witnessing you, Claudio, and you know, you are totally dependent. If I stop witnessing you, you just go out of existence. No, we cannot say that. We are both object, okay? But this witnessing principle is a witnessing principle very, very unique because it witnesses as sorry, because as it makes all the events it witnesses perceivable by its own light, dependable, revealed by its own light. You know, it's not two independent principles. It's one principle, and every object comes into light, you know, within my own, in the scope of my own conscious existence. We see my own light. Without the witness, there are no objects. There we go. Without the witness, there is no object. But without the event, the witness remains. How we remain as consciousness? We remain as the illuminator. Okay, so we shine. Why we shine? Because our nature is to shine. So, do I depend on any object to shine as consciousness? So it means to say, if there are no objects, I will not shine? No, I will shine in the mind of the jiva, regardless if there are no objects. I will just shine. Shine to illumine what? Just, it is my nature to shine. My nature is to illumine. And if nothing comes within my light, I just remain as pure luminosity. I'm just self-illuminating myself. I'm just, you know, the sun is just throwing its light everywhere, and it unconcerned if there are things to be revealed or not. It's just the nature. So likewise, without the witness, there are no events, but without the events, the witness remains shining because shining is its nature. So this is our independent nature. Everything depends on this light of consciousness. So we borrow our conscious existence to all objects in creation, in the manifest. Imagine a street lamp in whose light many scenes transpire during the course of an evening. Its light remains whether the street is empty or full of people. Just imagine there is a beautiful lamp there, and then there were a lot of people gathering, and you have no idea what is Italy. I mean, Claudio knows what Italy is. You know, when I moved to Italy in the 80s, I couldn't believe it. Every small little town in the weekend, the central part of the town is packed with people. Is it the same day in central Italy, Claudio? Yeah. Everybody dress up and goes there, and they go around to see and to be seen, you know, everybody. And just imagine, everybody's there, and there are these lamps that, you know, shine, and how you say, the mayor of the town, you know, make nice lamps, and then comes the coronavirus. And then this lamp that was used to illuminate, shine and illuminate all this crowd of people there, you know, and now this lamp is going to say, oh, no. Now I'm not going to shine anymore, because what is the point of shining? You know, there is nobody to illumine here. You know, nobody's going to appreciate me. No. Our light is just unconcerned about the object. The objects are just an apparent reality, you know, and our shining conscious existence is absolutely free, independent, and unconcerned, like Ramji likes to put this word, you know, with objects. Imagine a street lamp in all the light. Many scenes transpire during the course of an evening. Its light remains whether the street is empty or full of people, whether there is a noise and bustle or perfect silence. It is stationary, imperturbable, actionless, abiding, unchanging. The power and purity of its light is unaffected by that which it illumines. The power and the purity. So purity is something that exists without any inclusions. Something is so pure that there is nothing other than itself. It's one without a second, one without another. So this is the meaning of purity. There is only consciousness. Pure consciousness means assim, conscious, not colored by the three energies, the three gunas. You know, it's just pure, limitless consciousness. The power and purity of its light is unaffected by that which it illumines. Such is the eye of ourselves. Such is our eye. We are pure, we are limitless, actionless, motionless, you know, unconcerned, unaffected by whatsoever we shine upon. We shine on anything, you know, it can be the most horrible thing and can be the most magnificent thing, you know, the good and the bad, and anything in between, we just shine and we reveal. That's the nature of consciousness, the pure consciousness. So any comments about this verse? Anything else?
Arlindo.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Please.
I have a question. So may I ask it?
Please.
So if our conscious awareness is jivas, we're turned toward a more discriminating, dispassionate, you know, all of devotion toward what we perceive as the good. Could the world, I mean, would the world change then for the better? I guess it would. I guess it would. Right? Because good karma begets good results.
Yeah, definitely. So this is a very interesting point because the good and the bad they live hand in hand all the time, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we talk about that in the Gita about the battle between Dharma and Dharma, you know. It has been there forever. These two forces, the dark and the light, you know. Knowledge. So
well, we've been so out of balance on the dark side.
I believe so. I mean, I don't like to sound pessimist, but I think you should do something here and bring a little bit more balance. And then on the other hand, we need to come back and say, but Ishvara depends on us.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So we better, like, you know, get with the program, right?
Yeah. We're doing our best. We are trying to educate ourselves spiritually so that we can be small lights here and there and have a certain impact on other people. I mean, I'm following this movement of darkness and light from my early age when I got in contact with Osho Rajneesh. In those days, he used to touch the subject here and there. He used to encourage us and to to inspire us to be a light in the world because this world was crashing. He was talking about that on the 70s already, you know?
Right.
So we need to break more and more people in light, and so that we can, you know, make this planet a beautiful garden, you know, and so on. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that we are just about to enter another war, or, you know, and start. I don't know. Let's leave it all to Ishvara, but you're absolutely right. We need to contribute with our action. Ishvara cannot do much. We have to provide Ishvara with our actions so that he can present the results of our planetary Parabdha karma. Has to come from our action that we provide to Ishvara as a total, as, you know, as a collective.
Yeah. And yet, when I think about, you know, Ishvara or consciousness, doesn't discriminate. So it has no opinion. It has no
Yeah.
good or bad. I don't think good or bad exists for consciousness. I mean,
No.
But
it
it's up
shines, as
to
you
us
said,
as
it shines on
jivas.
everything, whether it's darkness or lightness, it shines on everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. So why wouldn't we as jivas on this material plane work to our best interests, as a group?
Yeah, that's a good point. And the answer is very simple because ignorance is widespread. Why it's very pervasive. That's why
Oh my.
I have the impression that ignorance is more powerful right now. You know. So
Uh-huh.
this, I mean, we talk about this Maya and the avidya, this phenomenon, of that happens to the human jiva. We have to come back to understand also to make a point here that the good and bad, they exist only, like David was saying, in reference to the human jivas. All the other animals
Right.
they're just innocent, naive. They're following the program. They are beautiful creatures, they just follow their nature. We are the guys with a huge problem because we have this intelligent intellect that has
Right.
this huge price. The price is you can either follow Dharma or violate Dharma, and depend on how we go, and more of us go in one direction, and then
Or destroy the world.
yeah, it affects the total, and we affect
Yeah.
not only our existence, but the existence of other creatures as well. We have been going through extinction, all kind of other creatures in the world.
Right.
It's a very, very intriguing thing. But Ishwara, I mean, what else can we do? I mean, if the destruction or devastation of our planet comes about, it means that we deserve it because there is no effect without a cause. The cause are our actions. So we need to take responsibility. Whatsoever comes for a certain purpose. And somebody mentioned the other day in Brazil, they say, yes, if things, if they end up bad, no problem. Ishwara is going to shake everything like in a blend and then begin it again. But I mean, still, it begins from what? From the vasanas of the total.
Right.
It will. I mean, it's a very, very intriguing thing. This battle between knowledge and ignorance, darkness and light.
I just keep thinking, try and explain the point to someone who doesn't know, to someone who's ignorance.
Yeah.
And with trying to make this point to somebody who is ignorant, and again, it's not a judgmental thing. That's just what ignorance is. Then it's what's so difficult to me about Vedanta is that to share it with others. It's very.
But to share knowledge with others is very difficult, and with Vedanta, it should be less difficult because Vedanta at least presents the logic. I mean, Roots was saying why we would not behave in a dharmic way if it is in our best interest individually and there is a group as a total. Why? So Vedanta explains exactly why we should follow Dharma. You understand? Why? Because it's to your best interest. It's the best interest of the environment. And then if people there are happy, you're going to be happy. You're going to live in harmony with other beings, other human beings, and so we explain everything, but it's not very few people wants to be educated by this spiritual body of knowledge from the Vedas. Very few people. People are not attracted because people were so ignorantly conditioned to run, to gain and get whatsoever we want at any cost to the others and to the field, So
And that's trying to seed unfertile ground. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, there's a proverb about that, but I mean, it's the ground has to be fertile, which is, we go back to karma yoga again, and that's how we create a fertile ground or a sattvic mind.
Yeah. I mean, we are talking about Kama Yoga. Kama Yoga is present to the people what most religious structures try to present. They say, okay, you have to follow this these laws, these rules of behavior, you know, these commandments or whatever. You know, every religion has say you should behave like this. This is do, and not do, not do. But they don't present a logic. Vedanta, the Vedas, Kama Yoga, present the logic. You should follow like these rules, you know, these Vedic, Dharmic rules above all, because if we do so, we're going to live in harmony with the other beings, with the environment, with the laws, and then we're going to be happy. You know, forget about self-knowledge and moksha, but you're going to be happy as a jiva. You're going to grow. You're going to have a happy life. So Vedanta presents the logic that supports those dharmic laws. You understand? And it's difficult to present it to people. But imagining all these other religions would just say, "Oh, you have to do that, and you need to believe it. You know, otherwise you're gonna go to burn in hell, and you are not going to live eternal life in heaven." So who believes in that kind of things nowadays? Very little people, you know, because there is no logic. There's nothing there. There is only blind faith. You understand? So Vedanta is for the intellectuals that they want to have a little bit more of something that, no, I want to be convinced of a good reason here why I should have empathy and concern towards others and the environment. I want to understand it because, no, you want to know, okay, it's not about you and you. If you try to just grab and take everything, you're going to suffer very much so. You know, you're going to suffer in the process and you're going to suffer in the end. So, and then people start following those logic and then they understand. You understand? But yet, not everybody is interested to stop and begin thinking about this. Yeah? Common sense. Like I heard Paramarthananda saying that it's common sense, Dharma and so on, you know. And then he says, but unfortunately, common sense seems to be the most uncommon thing these days.
Arlindo, I was thinking that it's quite miraculous that there is a scripture, you know, that it exists. It seems to me just amazing that much pure sattva could be there in an accessible form in the midst of all this. It's just crazy, really. And that I happened to stumble upon it. Oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's our merit. This is a meritorious kind of structure, you know, order. So we come to this knowledge due to our good karma, you know. So when I start with Paramarthananda a lot in the past few years, and I hear him expressing concerns about the way the Vedic culture is declining, the way India, even in India, is changing, the way people have been looking down into the swamis and the ashrams and even accusing or the swamis of being just parasites. You know, they don't produce anything, they don't do any good to the society, they don't understand the value of this knowledge. I often say without this Vedic knowledge, you know, we're going to go wild. So we are holding this flame of Vedic knowledge, you know, to try to prevent, you know, people to go crazy. You know, because these social laws and rules that we create, they are not really being enough to contain, you know, our human madness. And not only that, these human laws and rules, they have been corrupted by corrupted people, you know. And then when you see they are no longer serving the Dharma, the interests of the environment and the other people, you know. I mean, we see, I see things that, I mean, it's what they do in Brazil and all over the world. In Brazil, they are destroying the Amazon. Just imagine, you know, over and over, more and more and more and more and more and more. just for some gain, economic gain, or whosoever is there in power. So we cannot trust even our social laws and rules much anymore. We cannot trust our politicians as well.
Well, Arlindo, I mean, you are aware of all the rioting going on in the United States right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and across the globe, actually.
Across the globe as well, it has leaked to other countries.
Oh yes, London. In Germany. Yes. Uh-huh.
Wow, wow, I did not.
You know, there are a lot of dissatisfied people right now.
Well,
You
yeah,
know, so obviously things aren't working.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we need to hold this light and share it to the best of our possibility, but knowing that we are very limited into what we can do. You know, our impact, the impact that each one of us can have in the field is small. You know, but if everybody contributes a little bit. That's what Osho Rajanishi used to say already in the 70s. So I want to make many people enlightened. I will going to be the guru of the gurus. I'm going to enlighten more people than Buddha. And then we're going to save this planet. Shall we go on? What is bondage? Verse 39. The I in the not self erroneously thinks it is a person, feels bound to object and suffers the afflictions of birth and death. As a silkworm wraps itself in a cocoon, the individual thinks its decaying body is real and ignorantly nourishes, anoints, and protects it. What is anoints? Ah, okay.
Anoint is to bless with oils, you know.
Blessed with oil and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're raising it up, you know, to maybe a status it doesn't deserve when you anoint the body. Or you commit it to holy purpose, you know,
Okay.
that could be too.
Understood. It's kind of making up, huh? Make up the body. So the I in the not self erroneously thinks it is a person. So this ahamkara, the ego, the I shining in the subtle body. So it's invariably, at least at early age, erroneously identifies with the body and believes to be a person. So even the spiritual genius like Ramana had to wait until the age of 17 until he just he had so much knowledge already in his causal body that it became clear to him. But he lived 17 years not recognizing that he was not the body. He need that kind of epiphany or experience, event. So the I in the not self, this is an ignorance that is imposed by Maya. Everybody has to go through that, you know. Even a yani, if the yani comes back, the yani has to know that, oh my God, do I want to come back? You know, I come back and then again, I'm going to be so tamasic and rajasic when I'm small and I have no clue, and then I will have to wait for my intellect to develop, and then in due time I'm a yani in this life, so I'm sure that I will become a yani next life. But you know, doesn't matter to go for 20-25 years of self-ignorance before the light goes on again, you know. So it is the name of the game. If you want to come in here and take a body, you know, you have to go through this universal ignorance. So the I in the not self erroneously believes it is a person, and then what happens? It feels bound to objects. So we know very well that the first objects that we feel bound to are the three bodies. Yeah? So we are bound, we identify. I think I am a person, and I identify with these most intimate objects, which is the body and the mind. Yeah? So my conscious mind, my thoughts, my ideas, my notions, and my physical body. And then we feel bound to this body-mind complex. We are bound to it. We identify. We say, oh, I am it, And then what is the consequence? It suffers the afflictions of birth and death. So the birth and death, Ramji likes very much to define as the birth of each desire. Every time a desire comes, and we identify to a desire, we are born into that thought. We are born into that fear, into that desire. As we are burned, as we are born into that notion, that desire or fear, what happens? We suffer the afflictions of that breach, of that thought, So when we look into birth and death, can be seen in the micro, perspective as a jiva, from the microcosmic aspect of the manifest. We have the jiva that burns to every notion, idea, desire, and aversion, and so on. Every concept that comes, we are born into it, And then we die to that concept as soon as we engage another concept, and it keeps going that way. So another way is to look from the entire cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth. Birth, life, death, and rebirth. This is the cycle that is traditionally seen as the samsara chakra. Yeah? So the moment that we identify with the body and the mind, we are bound to these objects. And then what happens? The moment that I'm bound to my objects here, I start getting bound, getting attached to all the other objects. You have to remember that this body-mind is the instrument by which I illumine my Dharma field, my environment. I go about my day, and this body-mind object here is begin navigating and interacting and contacting the other objects, illumining and contacting and experiencing and knowing other objects. So as I go about with illumining and contact other objects, I begin identify with my objects of likes and detaching from my objects of dislike. And that way I begin define myself. I begin to define myself through all these objects of my likes and dislikes, as I said before, my likes and dislikes are the building blocks of my vasana, my samskaras, my personality, of what I believe I am, my histories of life, and so on. He feels bound to object and suffers the afflictions of birth and death. Just as a silkworm traps itself in a cocoon, the individual thinks its decaying body is real. So the silkworm gets trapped in the cocoon, and then it feels bound. Likewise, the individual thinks that this body, one of the most common reverse of Maya is that the jiva finds itself associated with the body, and then it gets the impression that he lives in the body. This is a very common misunderstanding. So I find myself in the body. Nobody can really understand that without the help of the scripture. We miss out on the fact that the body is existing in me. I'm not existing in my body. The individual thinks that I live in the body. I am a product of the body. I'm a byproduct of the body. I lived in the body and the body is decaying. Oh my God. I live in the body. This is my house. My house begins collapsing with all kind of illness now in old age. And oh, it's going to crash on me and I'm going to be done. So the individual believes that its decaying body is real and I am this decaying body. I'm just so attached and identified as the body because I believe that I live in the body. We don't see the whole picture. We don't see that we are the light in which the body appears and disappears every morning and every evening. So the individual jiva thinks its decaying body is real and ignorantly does nourish, anoints, and protects it. So we do so much to protect it. Everything we do in life, in fact, is an attempt. Every action that we do in life, the really, really deep motivator of every action is an attempt to protect and avoid our mortality, We want to protect this body, and everything we do in the very base of everything, that is this motive, this desire to do things for the sake of what? Protection, security, and satisfaction. And I want to protect it. I want to be safe. I want to avoid mortality. I want to nourish this body, anoints this body, and protects it. This decaying body. Bondage is a thought. It is thinking the ego, the not self is the self. So this is a very interesting statement. Bondage is a thought. And when we imagine that, I am the body and I'm limited, so that is this is a thought that bounds us to the body, and we feel bounded. We feel bound. We feel limited. So it's a thought. So the other thought that we can apply against that thought is, I am anatta. I am limitless. No, I'm not confined by any body. There is no boundaries about me. I mean, I have no boundaries. I'm just this light, this consciousness. I'm the only existence there is. So this is another way to deal with our ignorance, it's understanding and applying these opposite thoughts. Bondage is just a thought. It's thinking the ego is the self. Meaning to say the ego is the subtle body, is the mind. The mind, the ego is not an ego without a physical body. It has to be anchored to a physical body so that it can be constituted as the ego, the ahamkara, So this is just a thought. It's a mistaken thought, and we need to replace that thought with what thought? So I am Brahman. Aham Brahma is me. I am limitless conscious existence. So the text has already described the self as limitless awareness. So there is nothing other than the self. The not self then cannot exist along the self as a separate and independent reality. Once we understand that, and then we no longer give attention or energy to the ego and its sense of doership, ownership, authorship, you understand? Of possession, I own this, I own that. So once we understand our true nature, we no longer nourish this sense, this ignorance, this fundamental ignorance, this sense of authorship, ownership, doership, and so on. The not self cannot exist along the self as a separate, independent reality. It's only an apparent misunderstanding or ignorance. is the misapprehension of the true self produce this identification. It's a thought in awareness, and as such, it's not separate from awareness. How beautiful. Even ignorance, is nothing but myself. You understand? And there is nothing that is not the self, because my nature is one without a second. But this is an apparent order reality. Yes, it's a projection, it's a superimposition, but all superimpositions happen within the screen of my conscious existence, limitless existence. Everything is happening here. Everything is happening in us. So even the not self cannot exist as a separate, independent existence. It does not mean to say, oh, okay, I am the self, and the not self is yet myself, because my nature is non-dual, therefore I don't need to do anything. No, we need to develop a certainty in regards to these statements of the Upanishads, so that these declarations are no longer hypotheses, but they become factual. They become facts to us. So we need to work on our understanding, until these statements, these declarations, they are just fully accept. They become facts. That's the work. It's not that we're gonna turn the not self in self, because there is no not self. Even the not self exists not apart from me. It's just what? It's a thought, a vrit. I can just replace that vrit with any other vrit. So we say that Vedanta is a noble vrit to remove a vrit of ignorance. Okay, so when we say that Vedanta is a thought, like the thorn that can remove a thorn, a golden thorn that can remove rust kind of thing that got us, So we are saying that we need knowledge to remove this ignorance. But this thorn that's going to remove ignorance is not something that is going to really resolve my problem. It's going to just remove ignorance, meaning to say it's not something that I need to hold and keep. Oh no, now I'm going to keep. No. It just serves the purpose to remove ignorance, so that you realize that I am this conscious existence, that which is beyond knowledge and ignorance. Because I'm always here. There is no question of knowledge and ignorance. I am the light in which present knowledge and ignorance does play this Dharma game, this game in the Dharma field. So the not self cannot exist alone. The self is a separate. It's only an apparent mistaken identity. It's an apparent misunderstanding, a thought in awareness, and as such, it exists not apart from awareness, because there is only awareness. So let's say, just to make a little example of knowledge, because we have the scriptural knowledge. The purpose of this means of knowledge, is scriptural knowledge, is body of knowledge, is to reveal to the individual its true nature, my true identity. Okay? So self-knowledge is not the scriptural knowledge. Okay? Self-knowledge is what, is the result, let's say, of the removal of the ignorance. But self-knowledge is that which the only reality, and it's always present once it is clearly, perceived, apprehended, and retained. So once we understand it, and then it's something that is always present. The same way when we say, so 2 plus 2 is 4. So everybody knows 2 plus 2 is 4. So now we have the knowledge of 2 plus 2 is 4, equal 4. So now, once I know that 2 plus 2 is 4, do I need to keep repeating this mantra, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, in order to hold my knowledge of 2 plus 2? No. So I use the mathematic means of knowledge to understand that 2 plus 2 is 4 when I was a child. And now I know. So for the rest of my life, I never need to think about that. Because now I know, even if I never think, I can go for years without thinking 2 plus 2 is 4. But this knowledge is always there. You understand? So this means of knowledge, it serves the purpose to reveal the nature of the self. And then once it's revealed, and then you know it. And you no longer needs to apply the opposite thought to undo this misidentification of the self with the not self. It is only an apparent misunderstanding of the self, a thought in awareness, and as such, no separate from awareness. And it's a thought that needs to be neutralized by the other thought, so that can leave the individual with the knowledge in respect to his identity, which no longer depends on the scriptural knowledge, because now this knowledge is factual. It's no longer, a mantra, no longer a sadhana, no longer a reminder, but it's a factual knowledge. The previous verse described the self as the I that witness the changing states of awake and dream and sleep. In this verse, we are told that when we mistake the witness for the objects it witness, the result is bondage. The bondage is the afflictions of birth and death. How can a mistaken thought cause us to be born or die? When that mistaken thought identifies with the I as the body, the I then assumes all the limitations of the body, which is born, suffers, and dies. So the I never born, never dies. But the moment this I becomes the ahamkara, this aham becomes the ahamkara, it becomes identified with the body. And then what's going to happen with this I now? It has to go through another cycle of death and rebirth. Because the body, it follows its nature. It just goes over and over from birth to birth. But how can a mistaken thought cause us to be born and die? That's a very interesting question. Huh? What a power of thought. Huh? This thought, I am the body. Aham jiva. So how can this mistaken thought cause us to be born and to die? When that mistaken thought identifies with the I as the body, the I assumes all the limitations of the body. It's amazing the power of Maya, Vidya, and what it can bring about. This eternal samsara chakra, of all these innumerable souls again and again, going through these cycles of new births and new births and new births, all due to their identification with the body. The body that is born, decays, enjoys, suffers, and dies. And the identification is so strong that when we are dying, we are just we are just totally attached to the idea that no, one more day, one more day, one more day. And then what happens with that one more day? It becomes another life, another birth, another cycle, because I want to experience, I have an investment in samsara, I want to come back. I want to meet my friends again, my beloveds, and so on, and finish some little business that I have to finish. we as awareness, we are not born, but the body which appears in awareness is born, of course. The body which appears in awareness. So we don't appear in the body appears in us. This body is born. The I that witnessed the birth of the body forgets itself, so to speak, and ignorantly believes it has become the body. I was mentioning before about the Yanni, that a Yanni may die and he never knows if Shwara is going to run him through the system again. If there are some vasanas there, some little things there may be enough to Ishvara to bring him back or her back. Yeah? So when this Yanni would come back again, it's going to go through the same process of somehow forgetting itself to be the light of consciousness and identifying as the body. The I that witnessed the birth of the body forgets itself somehow, so to speak, and ignorantly believes it has become again the body. You heard about that little child that was born in some place there near Pune, near Bombay in the old days. That this born in India, this kind of phenomena, they are very common there. You know, people who remember the past lives and all kinds of esoteric kind of things there. And they say that this baby was born in a hospital there near Pune. And then when he came out of the womb and then the doctors, they kick him, back to see if he would open his eyes and say something. You know what he said? You know what was his first cry? Huh? Lynn?
Om Tat Sat.
So he said, "Oh, not again, not again, not again." So it was a Yanni. He thought he was completely free of samsara. And he was so sure, now I am universal consciousness, I merge into Brahman and I remain as the ocean of conscious existence. But for his disappointment, there was a small little vasana still lingering there. And he was a little bit proud of himself because he was a famous Mahatma and so on. And then Ishwara sent him back, and for his frustration, when he opened his eyes, he said, "Oh no, not again, please." Bondage is best understood as a cause of mistaken identity, or perhaps more accurately, as a case of amnesia. Amnesia is a very nice analogy. So as if the self, in the process of getting embodied, it has to go through a kind of forgetfulness. Why? Because it has to be constituted by three energies, the building blocks of everything. These three energies, including its subtle body that provides us with this intelligence, this self-awareness, and the ability to determine and know. So in the process of becoming a Jivatma, so we get all these inclusions of rajas and tamas, and then we become unaware. We forget somehow, consciousness. The moment it becomes a jiva, an experienced entity, it forgets, as if it's suffering from amnesia now. We can never be other than what we are, but we have forgotten what we are. Amnesia is a popular plot device employed in many films and soap operas. Its popularity is due to the fact that it is both frightening and tantalizing to imagine that we have lost the marks of our identity. So it's terrifying to forget it. Yeah? But forgetting it gives us the joy of remembering again. So the whole game of nitya or samsara seems to be, I come here, I forget. My nature is purna, whole, full, and complete, limitless consciousness. And then I have to run, and then develop maturity, and then develop more sattva, and then I begin remembering. And then when I see I'm attracted to the Upanishads and Vedanta and so on, and then I begin remembering. And then I begin, being part of a group that helps me to remember until this remembrance no longer needs to be remembered, because now it became a fact, a clear vision, a clear understanding. So this amnesia gives us this playground in which we develop sattva so that we can regain our knowledge. It's frightening to imagine that we have lost the marks of our identity. On the other hand, amnesia delivers us from all the painful circumstances we have woven around ourselves, like the doomed silkworm seated in this verse. It sets us free. On the other hand, we have a deep need to know who and what we are, and it's frightening to be deprived of that knowledge. It seems tantamount to being deprived of life itself, for consciousness and existence are inseparable. Yeah. So there is a nice consideration here, that although it's frightening to imagine that we may lose our identity, we suffer of some sort of amnesia, and we forget our identity, we forget our history, my life history, and what I am, who I am, my profession, and I start losing it. There are some mental conditions nowadays that people start losing. So it is really frightening to imagine that I'm losing my identity. But here it says that, but on the other hand, amnesia delivers us from all the painful circumstances. When we go to bed in the night and we go into deep sleep, we go in a sort of amnesia. We forget our identity, we forgot who we are, our profession, our problems. We forget everything. And that is beautiful. It delivers us from all the painful circumstances we woven ourselves around. But on the other hand, we have this deep need to hold our sense of identity, our story, our memories, our identity as a person. We have this, no, I don't want to get that disease and forget who I am. No. On the other hand, we have a deep need to know who and what we are. And it's frightening to be deprived of that knowledge. It seems tantamount to being deprived of life itself, for consciousness and existence are inseparable. So if we lose consciousness, knowledge, we feel like I'm losing my existence. It seems tantamount to being deprived of life itself, because if I start losing my memory, losing my knowledge, to me, it feels like what? I'm losing my existence. Sat chit, losing my existence. Oh my God. Not anybody witnessing that loss of memory, that it's relatively common for people who are very old. My father is going to be 91, and he begins losing a little bit. So people who are watching say, oh, there's no problem. He's just losing some memories, but his existence is still good. He's still existing and going about and so on. No, but we have this feeling that if I lose my knowledge, I'm going to be deprived of my existence. On the phenomenal level, there is a conflict between identity and freedom. But this conflict is rooted in a false identity, in assuming we are what we are not. That's very nice. So on the phenomenal level, there is an apparent conflict between identity and freedom. Why? Because the moment that we developed our identity, what happens to us? We feel bound. We lose our freedom. You know, we are like, oh my God, I am this, but what? Oh, but I'm not satisfied. I would like to be like this. I would like to be that person. I want to be better, more in this and that, you know. And then all the time I'm working for what? For improving my identity. I want to get a better me, become a better me. So this identity, that identity is on a phenomenal level, it's conflicting because it somehow, it takes away my freedom of the deep sleep, my freedom of being of those moments that I don't give a damn about what people think about me, you know, that I'm so naturally spontaneous that, you know, I feel so free that I forgot, you know, that no, I should behave this way and that way. You know, I mean, we see this beauty in Ramji very often, you know. He's like it seems he's become more and more like a kid now that he's getting older, you know, and he does not get a damn. He does all kinds of stupid things for everybody to see, you know. So this is freedom. It's not, we are not concerned about our identity, our fixed identity. So on the phenomenal level, there is a conflict between identity and freedom, but this conflict is rooted on what? In a false identity. So when we identify as the body-mind, we are misidentified. We are erroneously identified as that which changes, that which is limited. And then if we identify with that, we may feel bound, we may feel limited. But if we identify it as consciousness, and then that identity is not conflicting with freedom, that's the point. The moment that we identify as properly as consciousness, and then this identity is the only identity that does not conflict with any one of these all our identities, because everyone has so many different identities or facets of identities, you know. So, but there is one identity which is the only one that does not conflict with any one of those other identities. So if we are rooted in the true identity of our own conscious existence, we are free. When we forget that we are limitless awareness and we identify with the body, we believe ourselves to be mortal. We believe that we will eventually be deprived of life, we'll be deprived of existence. The terrible fear of death then seizes us, paralyzes us, frightens us, traumatizes us. You know? So we cling to this body and all other objects that somehow serve the purpose of give a sense of security to this body. They sort of it were life itself. So the body is not life, and all the other objects that I surround myself with, they are not life. And I feel like I'm going to lose my life if I lose my things and if I lose my body. We think that the life is in the body. The life is in our mistaken identity as my knowledge, my story, my body mind. But the body is nothing but a composition of the elements from which it is formed and to which it will return. No matter how devoted we are to its care and nurture, the body's inevitable decomposition is already in progress and cannot be stopped. So, does anybody have a problem with mortality? No, why? Why do you have a problem with that which is unavoidable? You know, which is the only thing that is certain in media. The only thing that is certain in media is mortality. because there is a law here that says that everything that comes stays for some time and then goes. Everything comes, grows and goes. Is and go. So we should not have a problem because we are reasonable people. We understand the natural laws governing media, and everything here is bound by time. The inevitable decomposition of the body is already in progress and cannot be stopped. So this gives us the picture of how important it is for us to correct this mistaken identity with the body as the body for the sake of living a happy life, you know. Because if we attach to the body as the body, we're going to be all the times traumatized by this constant, this progressive, you know, gradual process of aging, of decaying, the composition of the physical body, you know? Aging, weaker and weaker, less energy, and so on. And nobody wants to acknowledge that. So we need to break with that mistaken identity so that we can enjoy our life, because otherwise it's a pain in the butt to have this mortality. You know, every time we are getting old, we look into the mirror and say, oh my God, you know, death is going to get me sooner or later. And we need to understand that we don't die. The body, you know, death is going to get the body, but it will never get consciousness. You know? That's the only way to live a cool life, a free life. The teacher says that mistaking the body for the self is due to erroneous thought. As all thoughts come and go, this mistaken identity, this forgetfulness of our nature cannot last. It is beginningless, but does not necessarily last forever. When we come to Vedanta, we are ready to put an end to this ignorance. This ignorance, this mistaken identity with the body as the body, it can be put to an end. You know? We can finish with that. You know? It does not die a natural death. It needs to be killed. We need to pull our sword of knowledge and just shut the head of ignorance. That's the only way it will go. And it's the only way to live a calm and cool and good life. So this forgetfulness of our nature cannot last. So the teacher is there to help the student to put an end to this forgetfulness. In the move, plot, or soap opera, the character's amnesia is cured when he recalled his usual marks of identity. Yeah, in the movie, oh yes, I remember, you know, oh yes, I was a lawyer, I was this, oh yeah, oh yes, we all. So the amnesia is cured when he recalls his usual marks of identity. He remembers his name, profession, and family, and so on. In the Vedanta, the cure of this amnesia is different. You know? It's quite the reverse. The student realizes that none of these marks of identity is what I am. It's not remembering that, oh yes, oh this is my story, this is my life, I did this and that, this is my resume, now this is my body, this is my notions, my associations. No. So this cure of this amnesia in Vedanta is of different nature. It's just, you know, it's forgetting that you are the body and its memories, its status, and its associations, and so on. And remembering what? And remember my identity as consciousness, limitless consciousness. No, the Vedanta student realized that none of the usual marks of identity can tell him who he is. None of these marks can tell him who he is. It's going to tell who the body mind is. But the only free identity, the only free identity is the identity with consciousness as consciousness. To know his true nature, he must stop identifying with the objects that appear in his consciousness or her consciousness. To know his true nature, it goes together with, or begins with stopping, putting up a fight with this universal, all-pervasive ignorance that forces us to identify with the body as the body. It begins with stopping this identification. To know one's true nature, I must stop this identification with the body, the mind, and everything that appears in the scope of this body-mind. Most especially with the body-mind equipment. So the teacher is merely trying to hasten the inexorable cure of the student's amnesia. The teacher is merely trying to hasten the inexorable cure of the student's amnesia. He tells him or her, you are not the body. You are that consciousness by which you know the body. You are that conscious existence by which you know your existence. So you are not the body. The teacher holds the mirror of the self. What is the mirror? The mirror are the scriptural knowledge that has the power that of reflecting to the student its true identity, nature, as consciousness, as that. Okay, so we have a few more minutes, and we don't begin another verse, so we can do a question if anybody has any contribution or anything to say.
I want to say that was a great class.
Thank you, Ruth. I enjoyed it as well.
And I was thinking, you're talking about like fear of death. Like it's easier to accept dying than it is to accept aging. And I really reflect upon that. Is like dying feels like inevitable. I have no choice. And yet somehow aging feels like there's a choice.
Why you say that aging has a choice? So why can you, if you find a way that I can choose not to age, please let me know, share with us.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's inevitable but death to me is just, it feels like, there's a fire, there's a very final, there's a clear separation, if you will. All right, it's a changing, it's a transition, and where aging is so gradual, and that we can age, we can change, we can influence how we age based upon the choices that we make in our life, and so to me, it isn't about dying. I don't know if there's a fear of dying anymore. It's more of a fear of aging. And
yeah, because aging is an indication that you are dying, therefore you don't like aging. I mean, some people say that I don't have a problem with dying. I have a problem with dying in extreme pain and suffering, and that is understandable. We remember Ramana Maharaj, how much pain and suffering he had when he was dying of cancer. So all the pictures were there showing that, the final pictures of him dying of cancer. So if we have a choice here, we say, yes, I want to die nicely without suffering much pain, but only Shwara knows what is reserved for each one of us. if we need to suffer, so be it. It's going to serve some purpose. At least it's going to exalt some Papa. So I understand that we don't like to suffer. It's easier to accept a nice death than a painful suffering death. But aging something. I remember when I turned 40, I was so pissed off. I couldn't believe it. because I was used to be a young man. And then I saw my age going to the 30s, and I was like, I'm not much fun. But when I turned 40, I was really, really in a bad mood for a while. Fuck it. 40 is too much. But then you get used to it. And then 40 takes you to the 50s, and then 50 to the 60s, and the 60s to the 70s. And then when you are just there like Ramji at reaching his 8th year anniversary, birthday this year, And then he was talking a little bit about that last satsang, Ruth, he was talking about. I mean, actually, in both, I watched a little bit of both. Both of them, he was saying like, yes, I enjoy myself. I know I can die any moment, because now I'm an old man. I talked to him not long ago, and he was talking about that. Oh, yes, I have a heart condition. I can die any moment. But, when you get up there and you are yearning, so you take it easy, and when your call, when comes your call, you better go in a good mood, and with a heart light and with grace and gratitude. The key is to know that we are not the body. The key is to know that that's the only free knowledge. That's why we are here in Vedanta. We are in Vedanta because we don't accept mortality, right? Oh, no, mortality. No, it's not natural to me. So therefore, I'm going to find the nectar of immortality, the elixir. How you say? The nectar of immortality. So how can we become immortal? So Vedanta, you just establish you as yourself, as your true self, as awareness, existence, consciousness, and then you're immortal. Oh no, I want to be immortal, but with this body, keep it forever. They no, that's mithya, not possible. The body must go, You are immortal, and we're gonna prove to you that you're immortal. Stay with us, and then you're gonna understand, and then you're gonna be free. No? So we need to embrace our true nature as satya, as consciousness, and then we know that mortality is not natural. I mean, nobody. One time I heard Paramarthananda say that, and I found it so beautiful. He was saying like, we don't accept, no human being accept mortality because we don't accept anything that is not natural to us. Deep inside, every human being knows to be conscious existence of the nature of eternity, without any bound, without any, limitation of time and space. Deep inside, we know that. So that's why somehow he says we don't accept mortality. But it takes certain degree of maturity to know that what we are looking is the immortality for the soul, for myself as consciousness, for the spirit, my spirit as the mortal aspect of my existence. Okie dokie. But David, you're not working today, huh? Usually you leave us a little before.
I've tried to arrange my schedule so I don't have to rush off.
Nice.
So I'm trying to do that because then I can stay focused. So.
Yeah, very nice. The coincidence, I thought about that today. I thought exactly about that. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, everybody. Great pleasure. And we meet again soon. Much love, much hugs, many hugs.
Ciao.
Love you.
Thanks, Arlindo. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you all.
We are Lindo. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Grazie.
Hello,
Ciao.
Ronaldo. Bye bye. Bye, Mario.